When I lost my keys. It was a gloomy Monday morning, and the sky was threatening rain. I had woken up late, spilled coffee on my shirt, and barely caught the bus. But nothing could have prepared me for the chaos that was about to unfold. As I reached my apartment door, juggling a bag of groceries and my umbrella, I reached into my coat pocket and froze. My keys were gone. Panic set in almost instantly. I dropped the groceries at my feet and began frantically patting every pocket I had twice. I checked my backpack, emptied its contents onto the doormat, and even rummaged through the grocery bags, as if the keys might have slipped in with the apples. Nothing. My mind raced. Had I left them at the cafe where I grabbed coffee? Or maybe they had fallen out on the bus? I called the cafe, but they hadn't found anything. Then I rang the transport company, but their lost and found line was conveniently experiencing high call volumes. My frustration mounted as the rain began to fall in earnest. A neighbor passed by and offered a sympathetic smile, but I could barely manage a nod. I began retracing my steps, scanning the wet pavement, hoping for a glint of metal. Still nothing. With every passing minute, the situation felt more hopeless, and I knew I had to make a decision soon. Soaked to the bone and with nerves fraying, I stood outside my door, shivering, clutching my phone and debating my limited options. I had no spare key, my roommate was abroad, and the landlord was unreachable. Breaking a window felt extreme, but I was running out of ideas. Then, just as I was about to call a locksmith, I remembered I had been carrying my jacket over my arm earlier that day. Could the keys have slipped into the lining? I grabbed the wet fabric and began feeling around inside. My fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. My heart skipped a beat. I reached deeper, and with a triumphant cry, pulled out my keyring from a small tear in the pocket lining. I couldn't believe it. Relief flooded through me as I slid the key into the lock and heard the familiar click. I stepped inside, dripping wet, but grinning like a fool. My groceries were slightly battered, and my pride had taken a hit, but at least I was home. I changed into dry clothes, made myself a hot cup of tea, and collapsed onto the couch. The chaos of the past hour slowly faded, replaced by a quiet satisfaction. I even laughed aloud at the absurdity of it all, how something so small had managed to turn my entire day upside down. Looking back, losing my keys that day felt like a mini crisis, but in hindsight, it taught me something valuable. I realized how easily we take small routines for granted, like slipping a key into a lock. Now, I always double-check my pockets before leaving anywhere, and I even sewed up that sneaky hole in my jacket. More importantly, I learned to stay calm under pressure, well, almost. Because sometimes, the difference between panic and peace is just a lost key, or a well-timed memory.